All right, y'all. So we are going to be picking up on our table talk, and I had to look up this next one because I wasn't sure what it meant. Because it was one of those ones or one of those sins that I'm not too fond of, so I had to look it up just so that way when I went to explain it, I can kind of, explain it to a way where it makes sense. So we're going to get in with the next sin that was listed. So it's neglecting evangelism. Now, when I had looked it up, I know what neglecting is, but I wanted further clarity on the evangelism part. And for me, evangelism is actually like spreading the truth of God, going out in communities and sharing the goodness of God and why one should follow Christ or try to be Christ-like. Only a few people had that gift. A lot of people try to do it, but only a few can actually be able to not only get the following, but keep the following. It is a gift. It's a rare gift. Not everyone has it. A lot of people want to proclaim that they have it, but a lot of people do not have it. And the people who do not have it and attempt to try to do it, they will not. They'll probably stay. They'll probably be able to continue to do it, of course, because it's something that they want to do. But the people who follow them will most likely not be genuine as well. They'll proclaim that they are genuine and that they want to be able to be like the person who is spreading the goodness, but in all reality, they're just probably just joining the trend just to get that recognition. And we talked about that before, how some people just do things just to gain that popularity or to get themselves out there. People do things for attention all the time. And I remember I shared with you all one time recently when I had my whole actual confession on how I felt about things and how I felt like that coworkers or management do follow along with me, but they act like they don't. And I understand. I like the silent watching. It's just the and I guess sometimes you do have to play the role of you don't know but still know. But I remember in that same time frame I shared where I had a really close friend of mine, a really best friend of mine. I used to go to church with her and her mother, and sometimes the father too. And I shared with you all that the mother, she actually, I don't know if the daughter had it too, but the mother was an evangelist. And she didn't actually open up her own business or was a really big thing in the church. So what she did was she would go to the churches And this is what I liked about her, because she would always pick the churches where people that were homeless would go to. She was very smart in how she did hers, because she would go to the outreach ministries, the places where people frown upon, who are trying to actually do this thing called evangelism or theology, that type of thing. Trying to actually, she didn't join a mega church, basically, is what I'm saying. And a lot of people who want to do theology or evangelism or something where it pertains to saving souls in the church, they typically go for the mega churches, the churches that make them look good, because they already have that image of already looking good already. So of course they're not going to intermingle or want to partnership with churches that are in certain neighborhoods, that attract certain people, all because of their image. They don't want to look bad. They probably feel as though that they won't attract the right clientele, and the clientele that they do attract won't be the clientele that fits their image. Now this is where we go wrong, because we miss out on the actual genuine clientele that we want. Yeah, it's good to be able to have those followers that fit your image. If you're already a well-endowed person, you're already, looking the parts, you're very attractive, but it's not all about the image. Sometimes we miss out on our blessings when we do that. We look at the outward appearance. It'll look bad for me. I don't want to be seen around in certain areas, or the church looks like this. It just doesn't fit my aesthetic. It's not going to look good for my brand. And I get it, because when you partnership with certain churches, there is finances involved. And when you pick your partnerships, you want everything to match up. I mean, it makes sense. You want to be able to, you want that, not only that church to look the part, but the people within that church, even that community, because sometimes when you're really making it big time and you do recordings, or you actually go live in that community, you want that community to match up, because with partnerships and when you're getting your sponsors, people look at the community before they decide if they want to break bread with you or not. And depending on where the community is, let's be honest, y'all. And I know a lot of y'all might say, well, no, we don't go by. Yes, we do. And I get it. We're talking about investment, and we're talking about large sums of money. We're not talking about play money. Like, we're talking about money that is actually life-changing times 80. That's the amount of money that we're talking. So of course, when we're talking about sponsorships, investors, we want to make sure that it matches up. But back to my best friend here. Her mom, she would pick the churches that were like outreach ministries, places that were not in the best communities, but she had a method to the madness. She would go in and she would do her evangelism work. And she was actually one of those few that actually genuinely was a good person. She actually seeks out to actually save souls. And I have to give her recognition again, because only a few are selected. A lot want to do this type of thing because it can be rewarding if you have that zeal for God, if you want to even change yourself along the way, get better along the way with yourself, saving other people's souls. But we want to make sure that when we get into this type of when we do this type of thing, we want to make sure that we are doing it honestly, to the goodness of our heart, because we don't want to ever do anything critical such as this, when our heart is not really in it, we're doing it for the wrong reasons. Because it will get found out, and it hurts you. It should hurt you yourself if you find out that, you know, it'll eat you up in the inside, knowing that, you know, I'm doing this and I feel like I have the passion to do this, but it's just something that I'm really genuinely doing for the goodness and the kindness of not only myself but for other people. And this is what I get from it: neglecting evangelism. So for this one, I'm actually going to read the article because I feel as though I'll get a better understanding. And I'll probably have more insight because, like I said, this is one of the ones that I wasn't really sure of or sure on. That's why I had to do a quick Google search on this one. So I'm going to read the article. Evangelism, as soon as we say. Now this one doesn't have a actual person who wrote this article. This is just an anonymous article that's listed here. If there is an author, I tried to put the author in. Guys, I forgot to put the author that did the one for ignorance. I did not mention him there, but I did say who his name was. And the good thing about, you know, just go back and listen on that one. I think it was like 2 videos ago, maybe 3. And I'm going to say this disclaimer. I didn't put his name. I said his name, but I didn't put his name in the insert. But I'm going to say this again because I said this before. In my recordings, I do the purpose of why I read other people's work or I review other people's work is so I can put them on. This keeps me in the loop of being a content creator. Being a content creator for me is not only putting myself out there, but helping get another person out there as well. This keeps me in the loop. This always, and I know people might say, well, you're getting copyrighted left and right. Not necessarily. Just like when I did the Culture Center, and I asked before I actually recorded. The good thing is my work is public. So the owner of that building, or the owners, because there might be more than one, I know that they probably will eventually see my video and they will see that I did ask. So I'm not worried about any more copyright infringement now. I used to kind of like, you know, they're going to get me with another copyright strike. I'm going to have to, you know, produce more to try to pay it off. But it's just how you do things. It's just how you do things. If you ask first, don't just, like how I did in the past, just pull out my phone and then record. Not asking permission first, because not only is it not my establishment, but it's the right thing to do. It's common courtesy. Just like I was butthurt when things happened to me without my acknowledgement. Well, guess what? You know, the place didn't really belong to me fully anyway because I wasn't making enough money on my own. So there you go. It's all about how we do things and making sure that we do things in a way that is not only respectful, but we have to respect the actual owners of the place. So that's where that copyright infringement comes in at. The same where when it comes to music copyrights, the lyrics were very intentional. It was very personal for me because it shared my story. Now I have to think about this. The way that I did it was messy. It was not good at all because again, the lyrics were personal. They were too they were beneficial to me because the lyrics shared my story personally. But I have to think about the artist. Now we're putting the artist in hot water, in a sense. And we know that the artists are the one that have the money, or that has the money, not me. So we're in a situation where there's an active going investigation, and now we're putting artists involved because we're using their lyrics. So that's where that copyright infringement came in at. And I say ongoing investigation because of what I already said about how I felt about people coming into my apartment without my acknowledgement. But I have to understand that, again, the apartment wasn't really fully mine because I but I can't afford this apartment on my own just with my income alone. And we all know that now. Well, you guys knew that before me. I just had to come to the realization. I was the delusional one, I guess. I hate using that word, but it's true. I give credit where credit is due now. I'm not afraid to say, I don't make enough to have this apartment on my own, All before, I was just like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. I'm doing it on my own. I don't make that much money, but I make close to it, just lying. And the truth had to resurface in order for me to get that assistance and that support from you all that I needed. Because as you all knew that I was lying after you all already invested, that would have been bad on me. And then yes, you guys would have came harder on me as far as coming back to pay the respect and pay the dues that I accumulated over the time frame that I was just using the lyrics in a way that was not beneficial to the artists themselves, but beneficial to myself. So hopefully I explained that in a way that that did make sense. Like I said, these sins in this table talk all coincide and they all build up to where I am today. I like the fact that they are building off of each other, and it's beneficial not only to me, but it's aligning with everything else that I am collectively posting on my YouTube. Because after the neglecting evangelism is laziness. That's why I have lazy in the backdrop there, because that's the next one. And I talked about that yesterday. But I'm not going to get on laziness until I finish the neglecting evangelism part. And I'm going to wrap that up right now. But all of these sins, even though they're sins, they all build off of each other. And how we can avoid the sins themselves, but how we can reverse those sins for the good. And that can be done on a daily. But yeah, let me go ahead and read on the neglecting evangelism. Hold on a second, y'all. Evangelism. As soon as we say the word, most of us begin to cringe. Guilt creeps in, our shoulders ache, and our spirits sink. That isn't necessarily a bad reaction. In some regard, it's right to feel this way. Almost every single one of us could serve better as an evangelist. Too many of us neglect evangelism altogether. In fact, it is a far too easily accommodated sin by far too many Christians. Let's think about evangelism a little differently. However, evangelism is not, as we often think, a weight, a burden, or a box that we need to check. Nor is it a merit badge that we must earn. It's a gift. And I'm going to stop there. I said in the beginning that a lot of people choose to go this route, but how many people are genuine in this route that they decide that they want to take? I, for one, say you should not touch this type of thing if you're not with it. If you're doing it for any wrong reasons besides good reasons, because we're talking about saving souls. We're talking about sharing the goodness of God in a good way. Basically what I do every day, because I do balance things out and I do read scriptures. I do share things of my past that has saved me. And this goes for me too. I don't believe in people making money off God's name if they're not genuinely into it. That's just my thing. People could feel how they want about, what I'm talking about on today. But like, again, if you feel a certain type of way and you are an evangelist, maybe you're guilty of something. Because I'm speaking in general and I'm speaking on myself as well. You should not do it if you're not doing it for the purposes that God intended it for it to be done as. Because not only is it unjust, but you're doing your people that are following you a disservice. Because not only are they going to perish, but you will too, because God knows that it's not genuine. And I know it's a sensitive topic to talk about because there are a lot of evangelisms. There are people here that I see here in California that go out and they speak out to the people on the corners and they give out pamphlets and, they share their testimonies. It is what it is. But we have to think about the people who genuinely have lost themselves and switch that over to find themselves. People who actually have a testimony, a real life near-death experience or experiences that actually went through things and who are sharing their stories for people to actually say or to share their story for people to actually know that we can be granted a second chance. But for those who are spreading the word or sharing their stories, we want them to be genuine people. We want not only proof that they have struggled, and you might ask, well, how will we get proof if they're just bystanders or we actually heard them talk in a physical building? You can get proof if they're as big as they claim to be. They have a platform. And those who are like me, we're going to do our homework. We're going to do research on this person before we decide that we're going to follow this person. That's one thing to look for. Now, any bystander on the street and they're sharing the goodness of God and they're sharing testimonies and doing their due diligence to save souls, they're going to not only be well endowed and professional, and I say this because they should at least have, even if they don't have a business card, if you go up to that person who is spreading the message out there in the community, they're going to either have a business card or some type of way, or they'll give you their contact information online. So they will have a platform. If not, they have some sort of connection, some sort of partnership, something that will link them so that way a person can get more information before they decide to follow them. They're not going to, if you're wise, you're not going to just follow someone who is just doing something off a whim. Now, we're going to go back to my best friend and her mother. So she did have a social media platform that one can follow. She would also let you know the churches that she would be at. You don't necessarily have to have a business card of all your platforms listed. You can actually go up to the person and see how they talk. Listen to them, that active listening. You learn a lot about a person when you go up to them and you ask those questions, but you have to know the questions to ask. You have to know the right questions to ask, for one. And that will determine if you should pursue or not. Should you proceed or not, based on the answers that they give you. And like I said, not all people are business savvy when it comes to having business cards and stuff like that, but they're going to connect you to their connect so that way you can get further information. And you should want to, before you decide to do anything, you should want to go out and take a look at how they address themselves when they either do their church message or whatever that they're doing in the community. You should go out and watch how they address their sermon or their information, or how they present themselves whenever they do their presentation. Just by going out and seeing that, you would learn if that's something that you want to invest your time in, if that's somebody that you want to follow, because you're playing with your own soul at this point. And it's up to you to save your own self. No one can force us to follow them. That's a decision that we make on our own. And you have to think about it. This is eternal that we're talking about. This is eternal. This is eternity. Meaning, once we pass away from this physical world, if we decide to follow the wrong person, it is our soul that will be damned. So this is something that's very, 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 very serious. That we should think about. Now, on neglecting evangelism, on the flip side, we can say, we know that we have the gift. We know that we're the chosen that should go out and spread the word. We know that we have true testimony. We know that this is something that we should do. Now, we should also know that this is something that can get us killed as well, because people do not like hearing about the goodness of God. Not all people like it. Not all people are comfortable with hearing it. It bothers some people, and that's perfectly okay. That is why I do my service in the comfortability of mainly at home. Now, when I'm out and about, I'll do book content. And sometimes I will do scriptures in a public setting, but then one time when I got on the bus, or even before I got on the bus, and I had one person say, I don't want to hear that. That was a lesson for me you might want to not do that in an open public area anymore. That was my lesson. And that was a one-time thing. And I was just like, you know what? I get it. Just do your book content out in the public area. Because I don't want to draw the wrong type of attention. I don't want people to think that I'm trying, because they already know that I'm not from California. So I don't want people to think, oh, she came here from the East Coast and she's trying. No, you're not going to get that type of clout from me. Sorry. But what I am going to do is, I'm not going to neglect my calling and just not speak about how one's life can change from addict, if you want to call it that, to someone who can start over again. And I say addict if you want to call it that, because I was not, even though I didn't hit rock bottom like that, y'all, I'm still proud of myself because I still was able to survive years of California and not lost my mind completely. I might have lost a little bit of my mind, but I'm still competent enough to get up every day and still do what I need to do, take care of my due diligence in a sense. Not in a sense, but my due diligence, my obligations, take care of my duties. And y'all know yesterday was Saturday. We all are going to enjoy our weekend. But guess what? I'm going to get up and I'm going to take care of business at the same time. That sloppiness and that messiness that I did before, I've learned from that. I've overcome that. And that is why I'm not neglecting my evangelism. I'm getting up and I'm telling people that you too can do it. If I can survive, if I can make it, there's no excuse why someone else couldn't. But I'm doing it from a genuine aspect. I'm not doing it because I'm trying to fake the funk and that my testimony doesn't match up with what I'm saying, because that's why you investigate and you do your homework, right? You want to know, and that's what I basically said earlier, for people who do it and their story doesn't match up. And I'm not going to dabble too much into that because that's why you do your homework yourself. I'm not trying to expose and do all that messiness. But I'm just saying, for those who do it to be messy, it will get found out. And that's why you want to make sure that, again, that you're doing it from a good place in your heart, because no one ever wants to put someone on a high horse to find out that they were a fraud. So, I'm going to continue on. I got to find out where I left off on. In some regard, it's right to feel this way. Almost every single one of us could serve better as an evangelist. And let me back up a little bit. Matter of fact, let me start way over. So evangelism. As soon as we say the word, most of us begin to cringe. Guilt creeps in, our shoulders ache, and our spirits sink. That isn't necessarily a bad reaction. In some regard, it's right to feel this way. Almost every single one of us could serve better as an evangelist. Too many of us neglect evangelism altogether. In fact, it is a far too easily accommodated sin by far too many Christians. Let's think about evangelism a little differently. However, evangelism is not as we so often think, a weight, a burden, or a box that we need to check. Nor is it a merit badge that we must earn. It's a gift. Maybe the greatest surprise of the kingdom of Christ is this: that he chooses to extend his kingdom through us. He ministers to people by people. It seems rather silly. He is the king of all and can employ anything or nothing, and yet he chooses to use us. In part, it is a kindness directed toward us. He grants his people the great privilege and honor of laboring for which lasts for all eternity. That is a gift. Do you want your life to have meaning? Then invest in what lasts. Labor for the kingdom is eternal. Frankly, I think most of us make it much harder than it needs to be. Evangelism is nothing more than speaking of the one we know and love. If you know Christ, you know enough to share Christ. If this world is all there is, then focus on politics, food, drink, vacations, money, sports, and having our best body now. But if there is more to come, then we must live in light of the more to come and desire others to live this way as well. So I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I think that was enough to be able to stop. And I think that I spoke enough on this topic to move on to the next one, which is laziness. The word in itself speaks for itself. Content creation, being that evangelism, doing anything, small business, large business, partnerships, sole proprietor, anything that we do that involves ourselves and a whole lot of money requires you to put in work, to put in long hours sometimes, put in overtime sometimes. You cannot be lazy when you're trying to take off when it comes to your business. More so if you are that female that once was married but want to venture off and do things on your own. We talked about it before, how it is hard because some men don't know how to take that rejection. And we're going to say if you're a gifted person, right? And I'm talking about the true evangelisms out there. Or you're a healer of some sort. A true healer. And a man will know if he has a healer or not, a true healer. And you want to know why I say that? It's because he's not going to want to let her go on her own. If she is, or if she has made up in her mind that she is no longer wanting to be unhappy in a situation, or she no longer wants to be married, and I know it sucks. It is very hard, especially when you've had dealings with the person for a long time. We talked about that marital apathy. But the man has to understand, at the end of the day, we know that you may not want to let go, but you're doing the person a disservice by not doing it. Because you want to know why? Because that person is not only strong, hardworking, non-lazy. They're going to find a way to get themselves out of this commitment. And so a man should already know if they're dealing with someone of healing, that has healing aspects, who is gifted in any type of way, that they're going to go above and beyond them and remove themselves from the situation. Now, 9 times out of 10, there is kids involved. Why? Because narcissists always have kids by people who are spiritual. And I chuckle because that's just how things are. They do it within reason. They do it because they know it keeps the individual stuck, which is very, very selfish. But again, I don't know any feminist, any woman of strong grit, any woman who is strong working, hard working, should I say, not strong working, but hard working, vigilant, a vigilante, who is not going to get themselves out situations that they no longer want to be in. And they will fight. And they will fight to the very end to make sure that they get to where they want to be. They're not going to be stuck in situations where they're controlled, where they're unhappy, where they feel that they've been disrespected. Oh Lord, don't let them be disrespected, because they're really going to get evil on you. And I mean good evil. I'm not talking about evil where it causes corruption and, you know, things happen for the wrong reasons. I'm talking about evil as in they are going to make sure that they do not rest until they get themselves in a better space. Because not only are they angry, but they are going to put in the effort and the time and the much needed overtime, if need be, to make sure that, again, that disrespectfulness, whatever the case may be, that they felt like they were slighted, they're going to make sure that gets reversed. And it's an everyday thing. It's not just, well, I'm going to do this a couple of days, and then, or I'm going to do this for a few months, or I'm going to do this for a few years. When you invest in yourself, it's a forever thing. It's an everyday thing. It's not something that can be turned off, or I'll do it whenever, or I'll do it sometimes type of thing. It's an everyday thing. Only you can show up for yourself. You have to have that mindset. Don't ever think that, oh, well, my lover or my friend or my partner, he has resources. He'll get me out of a bind, even though I'm not happy with him. He'll fix it. You know, I'll just, no, that's not the right type of mindset to have. Especially if you're trying to do better for yourself. And you see that, yes, this person has resources, he has the money, but are you happy? That's the thing that we want to talk about. Because if you're not happy, then you're staying somewhere, you're being around, places that you're not genuinely happy in. And we'll go this route too. So we'll say, well, I really, really, really love this person, but I prefer to live apart from them. I still very much want to keep things alive and well, but we just can't stay in the same household. We can have the same shared resources, but I just want to be able to live on my own and be happy. Because the same shared space is not making me happy. That can very much well be an option as well. But because, like I said, sometimes men they'll be okay with the separation. But then you also have to set boundaries too if you guys decide to split off and live separately, because they still think that they are obligated to get into your space whenever they feel the need to, and that just, sometimes you have to be like, okay, I understand that we're supposed to be separated, like we're supposed to be living separately, and y'all, I know I'm going off topic, but this is why I do these recordings, because yes, I'm prone to go off topic. This is how I get my talk time in. So I'm going to get back to the topic at hand, which is laziness. And that's one thing I'm not, because I'm talking and I'm getting my talk time in. So we're talking about, like, okay, if we're living in separate areas or separate spaces, right? And the individual or your spouse still feels the need that they can come over and do whatever they want whenever they want. So there has to be boundaries placed as well. Like, okay, I get it. I understand that I'm using the bulk of your resources. So I understand that you might feel the need to still come over or come around, check things out whenever you feel the need to. But we also have to understand and know that there's boundaries. Like, if a person decides, because you're already separated. Now, I can speak for myself. So I'm not going to say that I'm going to sneak people in and, have sexual encounters and do things off someone else's dime. That's just not the type of person that I am. And I think that's why a lot of men don't like the separation, the separate households, because they automatically assume that you're giving the goods up and you're no longer giving it to them. And I do see that as being an issue because when you are a gifted person or you are a healer or whatever, I understand that sometimes people don't want to give up that energy, that source, because it can be heavily addicting. A person who has the gift to heal people through talk, through touch, through meditation, or even through, and you have to think about this too, if you're a healing person and you're dealing with a counterpart, that makes it double trouble when it goes to a point where, or when it gets to a point where you want to separate yourself from them. Because sometimes, like I said, it's not easy because the other person already is used to your energy, your source, your everyday presence. And like I said, it can be addicting because not only are you counterparts, but you also have that healing attribute as well. And I say that it can get you killed. Well, I can say it can get you killed too, because I said when you're neglecting your evangelism, if you do it for the right reasons, you really have the gifted spirit, that can get you killed. Because not only are you sharing the goodness of God, but you're kind of going against the grain in a sense. We know that God was kind of like, he was into taboo things too. Like, he was a magician in a sorts. So that's why he didn't live a very long life, because people started being envious, and it's just, some people just don't like it, I'm not going to touch any more on that, but we're going to get back into that's why I said it can be dangerous, very, very dangerous. So we have to make sure that we know the consequences of being a person of such stature as God was, or one can never ever be like God. But I'm saying, if you go that route of sharing your testament, being an evangelist, being a healer, people will not, especially if you start to get bigger than what you anticipated to be, or people are really picking it up. They're really listening to you. They're really tuned in. That crowd, and I say crowd, it doesn't have to be a physical crowd, y'all, but it can be in the numbers. And it doesn't have to be people sharing your content, because I like silent watchers. That's why I say I don't want people not watching me. I don't want people watching me. I do want people to watch my stuff. That's how I get my content up, or my numbers up. But I don't want people following me. And why I say that is because my page is already public. So why would you? I mean, and I this is how. Okay, so this is the thing. So, and I have to be very, very precise, because it gets messy when people start following. Because if you think about it like this, okay, if you're on a public platform, you're a content creator, right? And a past lover from years and years and years ago sees that someone is following you that they particularly are not fond of, it can get messy. It can be, and that's a reason why I decided not to, because Facebook was just not. It was giving toxic, and if I don't get out of it, then it's going to get me in trouble in the long run. Or, and sometimes my eyes do pry. I can be nosy sometimes. Sometimes I see things that I probably shouldn't. So in order to keep myself sane and to keep myself out of unnecessary drama that I don't want, because I like my life today. It may not be perfect the way that I would like, but I'm doing pretty damn good. I will mark this as kids not listening to this video because I did curse. So if you decide after I mark it that kids are not supposed to see this, that is you as a parent that is wrong, because we don't want kids to pick up on curse words and stuff like that. And also it depends on the topic that's being discussed too, because I noticed that I was uploading a video, right, and I selected for kids to watch, but it gave that warning, are you sure? And I guess it was probably because the topic that I was talking about. So that's why it's good to read, because sometimes the platforms, they'll help you out. They'll be like, are you sure? Because maybe some of the stuff that you're talking about kids should not, see. And if I was ignorant and still selected, kids can watch it, that would have bit me in the butt in the long run, because it warned me. It said, are you sure? Blah, blah, blah. You selected this, because it gives you that option when you go to upload your YouTube videos. It warns you for the second time. If you're unsure, or if you didn't read the first time where they said, are kids able to see this? It does give you the benefit of the doubt the second time, just to make sure. Sometimes, because we don't read, sometimes we're in a rush when we upload videos and we're not paying attention to the cues, the clues, that type of thing. It warns you before, things get bad in the end, or not bad, but before you have to get reprimanded. It does warn you. And that's what I like. And that's why, it goes to show to pay attention, to actually read the cues that it gives you, and you can never go wrong. So yeah. On laziness. I don't think I have to read, because it does have an article again. But I feel like I don't have to read the article, because we already know about laziness. We already know about how you have to put in the work. There's no way around it. If you want things to flourish for you, especially if you claim that you want to do life on your terms. If you feel like you don't want to, or you started off in a partnership and you no longer want to end with that partnership, you have to know that you better be prepared to work your butt off, because again, sometimes that partner is going to give you a run for your money. They're either not going to want to sign for you to separate permanently, or they're going to give you a run for your money. People know a good thing when it's gone, and if it's going to be gone completely, they're not going to want that to happen. So be prepared to just be prepared, because again, they may allow it to happen, but not without a fight. And it's going to be a brutal fight, because they're going to take you through it. So be prepared to put in that overtime. Be prepared in working your butt off, but it will pay off in the end, because you'll get what you want. You'll not only be single and free to roam around and enjoy yourself in your own presence, and it's just rewarding. Some people are meant to be alone. I know it sucks, but some people are meant to, we have are fun, or we might have those times where we might want company for. Don't let it happen over. Don't ever let anyone stay over for more than 3 to 5 days. If it's over 3 days, or should I say 2 days, no more than 2 days. Don't let anybody stay over to your house, establishment, your piece for more than 2 days, because then they'll get you that way too. Because then they think that they are supposed to be added to your lease, and that's just not. Don't do it. Just a disclaimer, and I'm not trying to be petty or anything, but you have to be smart, because when people come into your life and they know a good thing, they will try to take advantage, and that's something that you have to be aware of. And that's why that is why it takes you just have to be smart, because people are smart when they come into your life. They know a good thing. Yeah, I'm not going to be petty. I'm trying to do things in a tasteful manner, because yes, I can be very, very petty at this moment, but I am not. I am at peace today, and even though I see things come my way that could be patterns of ignorance, I respect myself today. I don't carry myself, and I see why how you dress and all of that is important, because people think and assume that you're still gullible, you're still easy, you're still, if I say these sweet nothings, something, it's just, you have to learn from those patterns that you didn't learn from before, because people will try to test you, people will tempt you if they know how you are. You can't fall weak to the game, because people will try to get you synced in when they see that you're doing good. And I specifically said, if anyone tries to come into my life and I see it, I specifically said that I did not want it. And people still, again, try to take my kindness for weakness, and they try to play with me. But the good thing is, I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. And the disrespect, it not only looks bad on that person, but it goes to show that you have to be strong. Because people will, especially if your stuff is public and people are watching and picking things up, they're going to test you to see if you learned your lesson. I've learned mine. I learned mine in a public setting, and this is the final learning for me. This is the final learning. I'm in the stages where I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't want to go the avenue of running to someone just because they say sweet nothings, or they claim that they have something to offer. Nobody in the streets have anything that I want. I don't do drugs. I like to drink here and there, or I drink, who doesn't like to have a cold beer or 2 or 3 possibly and go to sleep? I don't know no one who doesn't. Or, a shot or 2 and then go to sleep. After you put in a long, hard work, or a hard, long day of work, why not? But you wait to indulge after you take care of your business. You don't do it when you're about to go out and take care of business, because that's when things don't go as planned. You don't want to set yourself up for failure. And you definitely don't want to be taking care of business and get swooned in by some. It's just, I'm not going to be messy. But I am going to end this video. I was going to pick up on another sin, but I'm going to do this sin actually out and about, because I told you guys that I am going to come through. I am going to actually go to a space and record the next sin. This one is a good one. I might do this one and another one. It just depends. But I do know that I will have another video coming up within the next couple hours. Also, once I end this video, I am going to immediately start on my book content because I love you all. I'm not going to do y'all dirty today. Not saying that I did y'all dirty in the past, but because I love y'all and I want y'all to know that I love y'all, so I'm going to show you guys how much I love y'all by posting my book content after I finish this video, just because I want to have something on both or all aspects of my platforms, and then I know that I'm going to be recording in the next couple hours this next sin or two. So you guys can look forward to that. I told you guys that I'm going to go on a scenic place or to a scenic place. It is Sunday, y'all, so the buses run wonky already on a Sunday, so I'm going to keep it light, and I'm going to go to a place or find a place where it is close by that has a good scene, and without me having to spend money or much money, if money at all. So it's going to be a thing where I not only have a good scene, but I can be able to record in a public space where I don't have to worry about, being by people who probably don't necessarily want to hear what I have to say. So I try to keep that in mind too. The places that are public, I try to make sure that my whereabouts are in a casual place where it won't cause any conflict. I don't want conflict. I don't need it. I don't need people to come around to cause conflict, because I see that too. Once I see it, I kindly say, please don't come around me if you are going to be, I don't need the extraness at all. And I don't mind reminding you that I don't need the extraness. Because if you watch my stuff and you already know how I am, don't come around me and expect me to be any differently, because I will politely remind you that, sir or ma'am, I like that you want to be in my presence, but don't come in my presence if you're going to cause disturbance. So with that, I am going to end this video, and I'm going to pick up on my book content, and then we'll do in the next couple hours the next 1 or 2 sins that I have coming up in the table talk. So I'll catch you guys in a few.